right, so we have made it to good old round 6, and we have Mortimer versus Creepevee, and we have been seeing Creepevee a lot so far in this tournament as he has been undefeated thus far. So let's see if he can keep that string going. This is day 2 that we are on now, as the last 2 days of Swiss get lumped into day 2 plus the top 8. So for day 2, I was actually casting with my dude Hauntze. So if you guys want to check out any of his stuff, links will be below to his social media as well as his Twitch channel. And as always, I am Justin, also known as Shit Just Works, and today we are going over round 6, Mortimer versus Creepevee of the Maverick Tournament League. So let's get into this. You definitely don't want patches in your opening hand, that's for sure. So I love the Hearthstone reference. We kind of shit on Hearthstone a little bit yesterday. I'm not gonna lie, because we saw this crazy RNG game. So it looks like they are getting started though. So I'm gonna go ahead and get us into the game. So let's go. I'm just gonna give me a second here to set this bad boy up.
No worries. I'm curious. I didn't get to see the ban phase, but it looks like both of the players are bringing their Demacia decks out to start. We have Mortimer with the Scout deck and Creepevee with that Demacia with Garen Lucian and a splash of Noxus there, which is quite nice to see.
There we go. Okay. Whew.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it looks like, what is this? This is going to be the Scout deck versus the Scout deck?
Yeah. It's a Scout deck versus kind of like a mono Demacia basically list, and it looks like the Karma Ezreal got banned out of the side of Creepevee. Couldn't catch the other one that gets banned there, but we'll definitely take a look. Yeah, Mortimer already leading off with the Fleet Feather Tracker, which is pretty standard. Just drop that turn 1. Assuming either a Fleet Feather Tracker or Jagged Butcher back on the other side here.
So I'm looking at Mortimer's screen just so that everybody can understand what the heck's going on screen. There's his hand. Okay, I was like, where the heck is his hand? He does have his logo over it a little bit, so you can't really see it fully. It's kind of unfortunate. The non-spectator casting problems. Riot, are you listening?
yeah. You can get like a little sliver underneath his logo, but I'm actually a little surprised that these players didn't just trade the Fleet Feather Trackers back and forth here. But obviously that's definitely can be of some use to keep that around, get that challenger down. But I mean, looking at Mortimer's hand, man, like I'm really happy to see a double Senna on odd turns too. Like I take that any day of the week.
Yeah, he's gonna be able to start off super aggressive here, and honestly, with 2 might in his hand, I would not be surprised if he ends this game quite quickly, depending on what his next few draws are.
Thought about playing that Bright Steel Protector, but I really do like him holding it back, especially with kind of bigger threats that are in the deck. Especially the Scout deck has a lot of challenger units, with the Quins and stuff like that. And using that to just throw a barrier on a Senna down the line, maybe just protect it from like a Misfortune bit of damage, it can be really important.
And he does draw the Bannerman, which I don't know if he's going to be able to get it down anytime soon, especially against the Scout deck. I feel like they're going to be trading back and forth just a little bit. But he is going to be able to get a nice attack off with Senna here. Pretty much, I think, no matter what Creepevee plays. Trying to look at his hand real quick here. It doesn't look like he can play anything to defend against the Senna, so that's a easy 4 damage on the side of Mortimer.
Oh yeah, I mean obviously, you could just block with the Fleet Feather, but you do need that in order to contest it next turn. But the big thing here is that unless he plays a unit, he can't really open attack with that challenger, and Misfortune coming down means that he's gonna just probably make that open attack next turn just to make sure he gets the Senna under control. But he has that second Senna in hand; he doesn't have to worry too much.
And Sparkling and everybody in chat, what is up? Thank you for coming and chilling. Boulevard's also in chat right now too, Hauntze. So I know we were just talking about him earlier.
Got the whole casting squad around.
Oh yeah,
love to see it. But yeah, Misfortune, man. The amount of damage and control Misfortune puts on the board is just Like that one damage AoE is so threatening, and now the second Senna getting dropped too, alongside that Jagged Butcher. Like this can be kind of going either way. It's really tough for me to say like this is 100%, like Mortimer at this point. This is just, especially with that Relentless Pursuit in hand too.
Yeah, and I think, I had mentioned the two mites early on here. His next few draws were actually, or a couple of draws were Bannerman, and he doesn't
Yeah.
really have many units to buff right now with Bannerman. So honestly, his hand is pretty kind of locked up until he draws something a little smaller. I would have liked to honestly see almost like a one drop or something, just so we can go a little bit wider on this board here. But he does end up drawing another Grizzled Ranger, which actually doesn't really seem that great in this spot, but it will trade into pretty much everything on Creepevee's side of the board.
Yeah. Oh. He's looking up for this Grizzled Ranger play, and like you said, not like you definitely want to play Bannerman on at least like 2 or 3 units. Two already feels kind of rough, but three definitely gets you that value, especially with that old Bannerman nerf from a while ago where it doesn't buff itself anymore. So, I still feel pretty confident if I'm Mortimer here though. With the Badger Bear that comes out of this trade, you're getting pretty good trades across the board, like you mentioned.
Yeah, the problem is the return attack from Creepevee. I mean, like, yeah, this seems like a really strong play right here. I do think Creepevee. I guess you take that attack. I think that actually is the smart play because I think he's kind of reading right now that this is what I was getting at. He can be very aggressive on the next turn because Mortimer doesn't really have anything that he can do to just build a bigger board right now. And with Creepevee in this sort of matchup where both people are trying to go a little bit more aggro and just kind of build up a field presence like they both are trying to do right now. I mean, having more units is a huge advantage right now on the side of Creepevee.
Yeah, and honestly, I just let this 3 damage go through. You can
Yeah.
play War Chefs and Relentless Pursuit this turn. You can just
Yep.
push the damage in, and especially with the Misfortune like passive there, that Badger Bear, sorry, that Grizzled Ranger is going to get procced no matter what, right? So, not too worried about it.
Yeah, and there's going to be almost no response on the side of Mortimer. I mean, the mites don't even really do anything because his units already trade. It's not like he's buffing any of them up to, get better value on the block. So he's just going to end up hoping to take as little damage as possible. But honestly, with the attack token going back over to Creepevee, it's not looking good for Mortimer.
Yeah, and I'm genuinely surprised he doesn't even play this extra War Chefs. Like looking at the list, he really only has like single combats to combat this, and I don't even think single combat's like too crazy, right? I'd rather just get those buffs in right now. And wow, these trades going down.
Yeah.
Mortimer's losing most of his board. This is not a good position for him to be in.
Yeah, I do agree though. I think that if Creepevee, if he's going the way that he's going and pushing as much damage as possible, I do think that War Chefs should have came down first before the attack just to push the additional damage. So, we'll see if that ends up hurting him or not. But that, man, drawing another 4-drop right now is just not what you want to see on the side of Mortimer. He just can't get 2 units down in one turn. Or actually, sorry, he can't get the Brightsteel Protector down, but it still doesn't feel that great.
Yeah, but now top decking the Quinn on the opposite side of the board, you're feeling really good about this, right? You can get the free scout attacks in. You don't even care about this too much, right? You could just push in the damage here. You can pull the Brightsteel Protector in with your Valor, and you get 2 procs of Misfortune here. It's incredible.
Wow, he is definitely gonna end up winning this game. It's almost a guarantee now. He's just got so much, just from the beginning of the game. I mean, this is what happens when you have Demacia versus Demacia. It doesn't even really matter what the extra regions are. The first person to get more units on the board and obviously stronger units on the board is just going to be, having an advantage almost the entire game. The only thing that can really combat that is like drawing something big towards the end, like a Cythria that really swings it in your direction. But I don't even think, is Mortimer playing Cythria in this deck right now?
I don't think so. Double check. Yeah, he plays 2 Cythria and 1 Tiana Crown Guard. That was the one high end card that I saw. So.
Oh, sorry, that's Creepevee's deck I was looking at. Yeah, so Tiana
Yeah.
Crown Guard. So I mean that could have been a swing card for him as well, or even maybe a back to back. He is playing a one of the back to back, but I think that as aggressive as his deck is, like he's building it with 3 mites and 2 Katos. He did not draw the amount of units he needed early to really be aggressive enough to combat Creepevee's tempo.
For sure. It's just it's definitely just like the big difference of like drawing a bunch of 4 drops on turn 3, turn 4. Like
Hmm.
your hand just gets so clunky over time, right?
Yep.
Versus Creepevee, he could play 2 war shots on a turn. His entire card felt very fluid, and that's really important for these Demacia decks in general.
Hmm.
Whether it be the mono, whether it be the scouts, right? You just want to be able to play all of your mana. Maybe you can reserve some spell mana for really impactful cards like the Might, like the Relentless Pursuit that came out. But it just seems that overall Creepevee just had, I don't know, unfortunately, just a better hand.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see how this next game is going to go for Mortimer. See if he can bounce back a little bit here and kind of turn it around. That was definitely the way he built his deck. It's a 100% aggression. So I give him props. Like it's definitely a different way to build the deck, and you can definitely be rewarded if you're drawing your lower cost units. And you mentioned the 4 cost. I think there's a very big difference between 3 and 4 cost. 3 cost units are just a lot easier to kind of manipulate and play your mana efficiently throughout the beginning of the game, even if you do get a hand clunked up with 3 cost units. But the 4 Bannerman and Grizzle Ranger, man, it's too hard to come back from.
It's fair. And ooh, we get to see this Gangplank
Oh
Thresh.
yeah.
I'm excited for it, man. And this is an interesting matchup. Like honestly, I barely even know how this Gangplank Thresh deck kind of plays. Like I have a vague sense, right? Obviously, you just want to pull the Gangplanks out, get a lot of chip damage in with those cards like Riptide Rex. You got a lot of powder kegs like the Monkey Idols, like you mentioned. But
So
against this Callista Thresh deck, you really want to look for those tools like Make It Rain. There's a lot of 1 health units because of the fact that they run these Bark Beasts, the Avarosan Sentries, stuff like that, and it's able to clear a lot of that out.
Well, I think that Mortimer 100% has the advantage in this matchup, primarily because he's sitting on 3 Vengeance in this deck. And that's huge to be able to get rid of the They Who Endures and even Neverglade Collectors, depending on what comes out. He also obviously has a Riptide Rex in there to kind of clear any wide fields that come out. Granted, it's only a 1 of, but again, I don't know. This deck is interesting because it's almost like it's kind of playing like Keg Control, but it's also playing aggressively. Kind of doesn't really know what it wants to be when it grows up. So I don't really know. I'm on the same boat with you. As I'm a little bit confused as to how he's gonna play this out, and maybe it's just gonna depend on his early draws here.
Yeah, I think my bigger standout is that it definitely looks more like a control deck, right? With the 3 Vengeance, the 3 Rekindlers, 3 like you just want to hit that Gangplank and make sure that it gets in a lot of damage, through its attacks and stuff alongside that Rekindler. But like you only have 1 Riptide Rex. It feels like once you get to that late game, if Creepevee is able to deal with those Gangplanks and the Riptide Rex, he's gonna have a pretty solid time.
Yeah, and the one thing, even without looking at Creepevee's list, which I'm pulling up right now, there's typically not a whole lot of removal. So a Gangplank down early, I think, is going to be really good for Mortimer. I mean, he could kill it with something like a Fury of the North in battle, but otherwise, it's kind of just going to stick around. And if he is able to get a leveled Gangplank and have it stick and constantly get those kegs out with, like a Monkey Idol, the Monkey Idol will probably not be removed easily either. So, and it looks like that's what he's going for right now. He's going to get a pretty early level, hopefully, on this Gangplank.
And those level ups are pretty important, especially with that Gangplank. It just gets in so much damage on those attacks. And now Creepevee's getting the kill engine started. He has the 3/3 Dark Beast. Now he has the Ravenous Butcher and everything. I'm surprised he doesn't go for. I was going to say, he is going to go for that Powder Keg pull, which is really important.
Yeah, and this is one of those really hard hands to come back from as Mortimer for his opponent, and we got a little bit of lag here, so I might have to refresh. But like that's one of the things with this They Who Endure deck is that it's so strong early game with combos like that with the Butcher and whatnot. God, if I have to see one more Prime video today or Prime Video ad,
That's fair.
Yesterday too, man. This is what happens when I refresh.
Yeah, that refresh it's a little rough for sure.
But what I was saying with They Who Endure, right, is that it's just so aggressive early on. I mean, it wants to play to like a late game victory with the They Who Endure and Atrocity, but it can just kill you flat out by like turn 5 or 6 just from having way too many 4/4s and 3/2s and stuff on the board. So it's definitely rough sometimes.
Yeah. Looking at it, Mortimer just went for that opening attack with the powder monkey that comes out of the oh my god, I'm blanking on the name. Monkey
yeah,
Idol.
Monkey Idol. Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Yeah,
Knives Out was a good movie. I'm not gonna lie, Sparkling.
but oh my god, just like the hand sitting on the side of Creepevee, you know, he has so much card draw with the two Glimpse Beyonds. He's sitting on the They Who Endure already. He really just needs to look for the Atrocity. He has the Neverglade Collector. You know, he's feeling really comfortable right now, in my opinion. Whereas Mortimer, I mean, like, he has so many clunky cards. This feels kind of like the last game where he's sitting on, you know, a couple of 5-drops and stuff like that. You know, he could play Gangplank this turn, but it disables the fact that he, you know, to be able to play Thresh. I think I'd rather start with the Thresh at least, mostly just because of the fact that, you know, you want to get the Thresh activated, whereas Gangplank can level up just sitting in your hand.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, personally, I'm thinking the Thresh into a parlay here on the Neverglade Collector is looking to be what happens, and I just think that Neverglade Collector, and this is what I was talking to Sparkling a lot about yesterday, I think it needs a change. I think it needs to go up in cost or something because it's such a ridiculous card, but it's definitely a priority target at this point for Mortimer to remove. And it looks like he's actually thinking about parlaying the Bark Beast. I don't know if I agree with that and keeping this Neverglade Collector around for too long, but he obviously is feeling a lot of aggression from Creepevee, so I can see where his thought process is with this, to just try to get some stuff off the board.
Yeah, but
the Glimpse. Oh man.
Especially with those Glimpse Beyond sitting in hand, he can just get this free card draw. He doesn't have to take the damage. On top of that, the Neverglade Collector is going to go off, so he's going to start healing back that life pretty quickly. But I'm definitely on your boat. I definitely would have preferred to see the hook onto the Neverglade Collector for the kill down the line. But unfortunately, he didn't get that attack turn this turn, so that's probably why he didn't go for it. And Creepevee, noticing that that powder keg that powder monkey staying around, he doesn't want to get that free attack off.
Yeah, and it's really disheartening right now too, because that parlay was really the only proactive card in his hand beyond this Thresh. He's got all these Glimpse Beyonds, and like you never want to grasp the Neverglade Collector. I mean, that's just a waste of the damage here. It's only going to be at 1 health when everything's said and done. And okay, that's rough.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe he could have been playing around that the whole time, which is why he decided to parlay the other unit. I mean, it's kind of it's no matter what, you're probably in kind of a sticky situation, but that definitely is not a fun card to see right now. So I expect a Glimpse to come out.
Yeah, that. Ooh, it's tough, man. Being able to the Fury of the North is such a good card to add to the Freljord pool for this last patch, and yeah, Glimpse coming out like you mentioned. It's pretty much necessary in order for him to kind of stabilize this game, just so he can get a few more cards in his hand. But you know, he should be able to stabilize with this Gangplank. But I think at this point, it looks like Creepevee is kind of starting to run out of juice a little bit, right? You know, he has a bunch of cards just sitting in his hand, but he needs to start playing these low costs just so he can get this Neverglade Collector rolling. You know, he needs this health. He's sitting at 11. Which is not the greatest health number to be sitting at lately.
No, he's definitely pretty low, and I will say that's one thing that Mortimer has going for him, and maybe, you know, again, there's certain things that us casters will see obviously differently than the players in the game, and maybe he's kind of prioritizing throughout this whole game, keeping his life total high for that reason, because obviously it puts They Who Endure at a difficult spot where Creepevee's going to have a really big They Who Endure if he wants the 1-kill combo, and that's why I think Neverglade Collector is so strong, though, because you literally don't even need They Who Endure. I mean, if he gets another Neverglade to stick on the board here, he can just start killing his units and slowly kill Mortimer if he doesn't draw Vengeance sometime soon. And that's looking like that's what's going to happen, unless he draws some sort of removal pretty soon.
Yeah. This Gangplank with the Overwhelm damage and its effect damage, though, is going to start putting in a lot of work.
Yep.
And what a top deck for Creepevee. He gets the... oh my god, I forget the name off the top.
Monkey Idol. Monkey Idol. You're talking. You're Creepevee.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Haunted Relic. Haunted Relic.
Yeah, the Haunted Relic. Those ephemeral units to, you know, again, just proc that Neverglade Collector more. You know, just play around that Overwhelm damage. He's going to be able to really stick this board pretty safely.
Yeah, and he is deciding to use the grasp as removal. And that's what I was going to say after I made the removal comment. With the 2 powder kegs, it actually can kill this Neverglade. So, again, maybe that was his plan kind of back when we were talking about using the parlay on it. This feels like a really good trade. It is open to another Fury of the North. But, okay, we just see another glimpse come out. At this point, when you play against a Dehu Endure deck, you just assume that when you kill something, it's going to get glimpsed. So, it almost always happens.
Unfortunately, though, because of this Grasping and Dying isn't going to be able to go off, so Gangplank is going to be able to clear almost the entire board here, right? Just off of his attack. And that's such a rough situation for you to be in. Obviously, you know, it does level up your They Who Endure, but you don't have your atrocities anymore. You don't have any card draw sitting in your hand. Oh my god, he top decked the atrocity off.
This is exactly what I'm saying with the top decks in this deck. Like, if he still somehow wins this from just top decking They Who Endure and Atrocity, I can't with this deck. I just can't at this point. I will say, I think Creepevee might have like made the wrong decision to even glimpse there. I know he's obviously has to draw into They Who Endure, but if this Gangplank attacks now, all right, never mind. So he is actually going to decide to hook the kegs, which might force a Vile Feast out. But if this Gangplank does attack, like you said, it's going to decimate his whole field and bring him pretty low with Gangplank's attack effect. So I'm curious to see if that actually gets off next turn. Yeah, he is going to go ahead and Vile Feast this.
At this point, you know, I think you're just happy. If you're the side of Creepevee, you can Vile Feast the kegs yourself. You're setting up the boards to play these haunted relics just to get those. You know, you're getting 3 Unleashed Spheres. That's just another +3/+3 on your They Who Endure, right? And you know, we don't obviously Creepevee doesn't see it, but we see it. Mortimer does not have a single Vengeance sitting in his hand. He needs to find these as soon as humanly possible. Yeah,
and well, that feels really bad too. And just, I mean, you were just talking about finding a Vengeance, so having that Glimpse Beyond, negated like that, it feels really bad right now. He's falling behind in cards and does not have many options. Oof. I mean, he will get another, again, he'll get a decent attack off if he does play this Dreadway deckhand with this Gangplank, but he's just in such a rough spot. I mean, if he does not draw a Vengeance, then Creepevee just literally wins the game. So it's basically a race right now. Who draws what first? Is Mortimer going to draw his Vengeance, or is Creepevee going to end up drawing the They Who Endure before that happens? And I will say, you mentioned Haunted Relic, right, Hauntze? I very much like that card is like in this game now. Like, I know it's always been in the game, but like not really. Like nobody really played it. But now that Callista was buffed and we have this synergy with They Who Endure and Shadow Isles, I think it's awesome to see that type of card be played right now. Ephemeral, I don't feel like gets a whole lot of love. So just shout out to Haunted Relic. Hopefully we see some more Ephemeral decks in the future.
And I think Creepevee is now starting to be in a pretty tough situation. And we talked about the fact that, you know, he does have this They Who Endure Atrocity combo, but it's only a +7/+7 right now on that They Who Endure. So that's only 8/8. No, it's not doing all too well. He probably has to play this Fury of the North just to make sure that this Gangplank doesn't completely destroy his board, right? Just so he can remove this Gangplank off. But beyond that, like, this is so much damage otherwise. Even with this Fury of the North coming out, that's 2 damage off the Gangplank effect. It's another 1 trample damage from this Gangplank. So overall, like, he's sitting at a really risky health field. If he didn't have this Fury of the North, like, it would have been almost curtains for Creepevee.
Oh, dude, Hauntze, man, you got to call me out. I didn't even realize. I can't see it because his thing's over. He already has the They Who Endure. For some reason, I didn't even think it was in his hand. So he basically already has it. I've been
kind of just using that little sliver of image underneath his logo to catch it. But
I see it now. I see it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so that's gonna. I don't really know how Mortimer's able to pull this out then, because Creepevee could just kind of just sit back and continue to have things die. Like you said, that Haunted Relic will get this They Who Endure fed a little bit more, and the Elise obviously helps as well. So we'll see how quick this They Who Endure and Atrocity end up coming down.
Yeah, and Mortimer, I feel like he's just kind of running out of juice at this point, right? There's not much more he can do.
Sparkling, why you gotta mention Neverglade Collector? You know I hate that card. He said Haunted Relic also has a lot of synergy with Neverglade, and I think that's another path to victory. I think a lot of people don't think about is having like 1 or 2 Neverglades on the field, and then, you know, playing the casual Haunted Relic for 6 damage to your opponent feels pretty nice.
Oh yeah. It's such a good combination of cards. Like, usually we don't even see Haunted Relic. Sometimes we saw like a very vague amount of Haunted Relic being played because like Hecarim was in the meta like way back, right?
Beta, yep.
But nowadays, like just being able to see that synergy with Netherglade Collector. I know those prankster decks were kind of around for a little bit too, but it's just so much damage. But Creep definitely has to be worried about his own health total. Unless he gets another Neverglade Collector, it's looking. Oh my God, the other Gangplank off for the top, Mortimer. Talk about a top deck, guys. Talk about a top deck.
Yeah, that might have saved his behind here because now these Gangplank attacks might just start to threaten lethal on the side of Creepevee. So Creepevee now needs to find, like a Neverglade Collector or something like that to be able to survive in this game because this Atrocity, like you said, did you catch the They Who Endure? What is it at now? 10-10. So he's still got a little ways to go until he can kill Mortimer. So I think Mortimer's been playing this pretty intelligently so far with keeping his life total where it's at.
Trying to do the math here, right? So if it's a +10/+10, so it's an 11/11 right now, right? You get the 3 from Haunted Relic, the other 3 from Haunted Relic. If you decide to play, like, if you can somehow squeeze in all 6 on the board here,
yeah,
and then you also have the Blighted Caretaker to knock out the 1/1 plus summon 2 saplings that'll die at the end of the turn. 14, 15, you could 16, pretty 17. Much push very close to that 18/18 just on this turn alone.
Yeah, if he is able, that's one of the things with Blighted Caretaker I've always said, right? Is it's kind of hard. It's a hard effect sometimes to get off just because of board space, especially when you are playing something like Haunted Relic. Like he has almost too much, stuff to die in his hand right now.
Yeah,
like, he can't get it all played on one turn. So, yeah, I think between this turn and the next, he might be able to get it over 18. And the one thing about Legends of Runeterra, for those of you who might just be starting the game, you cannot heal over 20 life. And it feels really bad when something like Atrocity and They Who Endure come down because even if it's 20 attack, 20 health, you're still going to die no matter how much healing you got in your deck.
And now with these extra powder kegs coming down, he definitely has to make these attacks happen sooner rather than later. I'm surprised he's not going for the attack with his 1/1 there. I mean, I guess it is fodder for your Blighted Caretaker, but do you really care if your opponent procs it yourself? Like,
I don't think you care because then worst case scenario, you just sack the 4/4 if you really want, like to get the extra death. I agree. I think you just attack with it, especially because he doesn't even have enough blockers to block everything. So there's a good chance that Mortimer doesn't even block it. So that does seem a little bit odd.
And basically any extra chip damage here will always be useful. Even this little bit of this 1 damage means that 1 less unit dies on your side of the board, but the 3 heal that you get from Vile Feast there, I didn't even take account for that.
Yep.
That's such a rough position now.
Yeah, I will say, Gangplank feels like a good card when you turn your Vile Feast into a Drain 3. So suddenly it's very good.
Yeah, and if I'm Mortimer, I'm super happy. Next turn I gotta heal from sorry, I gotta pull off of this Thresh level up. He's going for the They Who Endure drop so early on, which I'm kind of concerned about. Like, that's not 19.
I think he needed to because I think he just dies if he doesn't drop it, right?
Gotcha, that's fair.
Yeah, because the Gangplank, if he attacks, he's got the effect, so he'll have enough to just flat out bring his opponent to 0. So I do think he had to do it. I think
there's a second Gangplank coming out, though.
Yeah, and the problem is I just think at this point, because that They Who Endure was forced out, I don't think there's really a way that Creepevee does win the game. It just buys him 1 more turn. If anything, I think actually because of the second Gangplank, I think he's just dead, right?
Yeah, second Gangplank makes it sealed and done. Especially since Thresh has that Challenger also. He can't block that Gangplank with the They Who Endure. So it looks like we are going to a game 3 here.
Oh, yeah. And can we just take a moment to just look at this field, too? Like, that is a... Man, that's got to feel good on the side of Mortimer. Like, two Gangplanks, 2 attack effects, a Thresh pulling the Gangplank. Like, that's what that deck is supposed to do right there.
So now it looks like we're just lining up this Endure tempo deck, like you mentioned, versus the Lucian Garen Mono Demacia list. So, honestly, I kind of have to give it a little bit to Mortimer here. Especially with the 3 Mites, the 2 Cato of the Arms. You have so many 1 health units on the side of the Endure deck, right? Like all the spiders, the hapless aristocrats, the blighted caretakers. That's not a good time when there's overwhelm damage, and we saw that in this past game with this gangplank, and there's even more of it now.
Yeah, I got to agree. I believe that the Demacia deck's going to have the advantage here because even if Mortimer were to draw like he did the first game, where his hand was kind of bricked with a bunch of 4-cost guys or 3-cost units, he's still like the Endure deck is not fast enough or does not have big enough units to really challenge the Demacia deck to win before it has the time to draw what it needs to draw. And once it does draw what it needs to draw, like you said, the only thing he's going to be blocking with on the side of Creepevee is 1 health units, 2 health units, and that's just a lot of overwhelm damage that he's not going to be able to stop. So I think the only way Creepevee wins is just flat out getting a pretty fast They Who Endure and Atrocity before the Demacia deck can overwhelm him.
Yeah, and stuff like the Haunted Relic is just going to be so important in this early game, right? And I mean, if you're Mortimer, you just have to hope you don't draw as bad as you did in some of these past games, right?
And there you
and
go.
looking at that curve, 1, 2, 3, I'm already happy. We're calling it. It's a good game already. I honestly would even keep the Kato here. I'm not even gonna lie. That Kato is fantastic with that overwhelm buff. It's going to be such a useful card in this matchup. He's thinking about tossing War Chefs.
Don't toss the War
Please,
Chefs.
oh my God, no.
No. I mean, maybe he knows something that we don't know, but wow, that's also another very good card right now to save possibly the Fleet Feather Tracker to a Vile Feast or something like that. So why is it? No, don't. He already did a Shen emo. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. Unless he's just doing it as like an opening Shen emo. Is that acceptable? Are we allowing that? Does that happen nowadays? I don't.
I think if you're one of the people who tosses the Braum emote, to make space for the other ones, then yeah, I think it's acceptable, right? You in martial arts, you bow to your opponent.
Yeah, exactly.
Start kicking him in the face, right?
It's like I swear we're friends, but now let's fight.
Yeah.
Wow.
But, I mean, like, looking at the other side of the board, Creepevee, he has an Elise, he has a Callista to follow it up. These are such great, fantastic hands for both sides, right?
Yeah.
But I do have to give the edge a little bit again to Mortimer. He has that Radiant Strike. He has the back-to-back. If he had saved that Kato, I really had wished he'd saved that Kato. Honestly, I really think that the overwhelm matters so much in this matchup.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, now that I'm kind of seeing this go out the first few turns, I do think that a Kato would be incredible right now. I mean, it's obviously going to push through a lot of damage. It is, unfortunately, Kato's 3. No, that's right. Kato's 4 health now. Never mind. I was going to say it's a little bit squishy, but with Kato now being 4 health, it actually is very good into most of what Creepevee has.
Surprised he doesn't go for a spider block here with the War Chefs. I guess he values that health a little bit, but you're pulling this Elise out with the Fleet Feather Tracker regardless, right? And man, Mortimer with the turn 3 attacking Senna on both of the Demacia games, like, you really could not ask for more. I really think this lineup for Mortimer, like, unless he draws like the Lucian on turn 2, he always wants to be on the odd turns.
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, this center right here is going to be huge. I do think that maybe he should have blocked the spider token because, like you said, he is going to go ahead and challenge with the Fleet Feather here. But yeah, that 1-2-3, this is probably the best 1-2-3 that this deck could hope for. I honestly, I would argue you'd probably want the War Chefs instead of the Lucian and then draw into the Lucian after that, just because War Chefs is so incredibly powerful early game, and we can see exactly why here if he's able to kill this, I almost said Callista, this Elise pretty quick.
Going for the Glimpse Beyond just to get those card cycles, he has the Atrocity sitting in hand already. He's looking for the other half of the combo like he was last game, and he's just fishing for it. He's okay with taking this 2 damage. Yeah, that 3/3 Dark Beast, man, that's such a good 1-drop. What the heck?
Oh, you have no idea. Actually, I asked Sparkling this yesterday. What's better, Jagged Butcher or Bark Beast?
Bark Beast. It's so much easier to have one of your units killed than it is to deal damage to the Nexus.
I don't know. I mean, because the other thing with Jagged Butcher is it starts as a 2/2, right? So it's got better base stats, and you're almost always going to be plundering. I think Bark Beast is very specific to this deck, right? It needs a strategy kind of built around it. But yeah, Bark Beast, so incredibly strong. And that early Callista is also going to be huge for Creepevee. I mean, if he is able to level that pretty quick here, which I don't see any immediate ways for Mortimer to really deal with the Callista, Creepevee will be in a much better spot.
Hey man, slap a Radiant Strike on this War Chef and just throw him in, right? I don't mind too much. War Chef's gotten its value, of course, but I don't think you want to trade the Senna into this. But I mean, also that Grizzled Rangers is pretty big too. That's a good blocker.
Yeah, Grizzled Ranger is actually really good for Mortimer right here in just preventing damage being taken. And that's, again, I got to give him credit through all these Endure games that we've seen so far. And it's funny because we were just talking earlier before this about yesterday and seeing so many Endure. So we clearly are seeing the same things here going into day 2. And he's doing a very good job of denying his opponent with the Endure deck of doing any damage prior to getting the They Who Endure out. And when you force your opponent into making it so they have to have a They Who Endure that's like 16 or more, it's a lot more difficult for them to actually get that combo off the way they want to.
I'm also really surprised that he doesn't go in with these like 1/1 spiders. I guess he's saving them for blockers, and that 100% makes sense. But and I would have preferred to see them just try to get him this chip, especially since he has that full atrocity They Who Endure combo already in his hand. But yeah, this is such a rough trade. Regardless, I don't think outside of the 3/3 trading for the War Chefs, Creepevee is not having a good time.
No, he's really not. Did you catch what the They Who Endure is at right now?
I did not. I assume it was just the Elise and the card that died off last turn, so it is pretty low. I'm gonna say like 3/3, maybe 4/4 at the very like high end of that. But man, this Radiant Strike plus the single combat, it's just not good trades for Creepevee.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Mortimer went for that though. I feel like that's kind of risky with a possible Fury of the North being in the deck. Like he could have just played that Creepevee and ended up saving his Callista and getting rid of the Badger Bear on the field. So very surprising, but maybe Mortimer was able to read that there was no Fury of the North on the side of Creepevee, and if so, that's an amazing read on his part because this is going to be doing big things for him.
Yeah, for sure. This is tough. I think he has to go for the single combat here just because otherwise the Callista levels up regardless. Oh man, that second Radiant Strike. Wow, what a hand for the side of Mortimer, man. And he gets the follow-up next turn with the Cythria.
Yeah, he's going to be able to play this. I mean, now next turn, I think... actually, he's going into... All right, Creepevee has attack turn next. Yeah, so you're going to be playing Cythria, and then on his next attack turn, he's going to have that back-to-back. And oh, wow. And the Bannerman on top of it. This is looking pretty good for Mortimer right now.
For sure. Rubbing a little salt on the wounds here. Ooh. But the Blighted Caretaker is really important in this current position. You get to pull in the Senna, you get to pull in this War Chefs. Kind of denies that the Bannerman a little bit, but obviously, like, who cares? You have a Cythria, like.
Well, I guess the question is now: do you play the Bannerman to save your Senna, or do you play the Cythria and just say bye bye to the War Chefs and the Senna, and then play Bannerman?
I mean, if I'm Mortimer, I have a back-to-back in my hand. I just pass. Like, I don't mind.
Yeah, I think he's considering playing something right now, and I honestly. Yeah, I guess I'd say I agree. It's going to be a little slower getting this Bannerman out if he does want to get it on the Cythria as well, but it's definitely a little bit tougher of a spot. Blighted Caretaker is just such a damn good card, man, in so many different situations. Wow,
I'm gonna go for the Bannerman, and that definitely does save the Senna for sure. And also the big thing is that it really nullifies the amount of attacks that Creepevee go for this turn, right? Now it feels like he's just gonna swing in with one of these saplings, maybe a second one just to get in that chip damage on one of these guys on the side, but it's really tough for him to want to swing with the 4/4s, the 1/1s, and all that stuff that on the side of the board as well.
Well, I don't see any reason for him not to swing with the Abomination. I think he does want to save those Spider-Mans, like you mentioned a few turns ago, for like chump blockers. Mortimer, unfortunately, I'm sure he does not want to right now, is probably going to let this 4/4 damage through, I imagine, and he does decide to do so because he is... I think the way that he stays in this game is by getting Cythria buffs on as many units as possible, and it looks like that's what's going to be coming down next turn.
Yeah, and especially with the Cythria online, right? These 1/1, these 1/1s and 2/1s that we want to see as chump blockers, they become nothing. You know, with a fearsome tag, yeah, sure, you can use a 1/1 to block a Cythria, but that's really about it.
Yeah, and that's gonna feel really bad from Creepevee. You know, he's thinking, okay, I got these. I got some blocks. We're good. He's gonna see the Cythria and be very, very disappointed next turn, and it's gonna feel super bad.
Yeah, and at least he can potentially block like the Bannerman with this abomination of his. That's about it. It's tough situation for him.
Ooh.
Oh, the Lucian top deck.
Oh, it's so unfortunate he's on such an awkward like mana turn for all these cards in his hand right now. He can only play basically one card, or he could technically play the Lucian and the back-to-back.
Yeah.
Do you ever consider playing the Lucian in the back-to-back this turn?
No, I think the Cythria is just all too important, especially with so many like chump blockers on the side of his opponent. You want to get this damage in. Maybe he can block with a few of these down the line, but the more damage you get in now, especially denying these 1/1 and 2/1s from dying on your side of the board, right? It means that it's just so much harder for this Day Who Endure to level up.
Yeah, no, 100%. Wow, he might actually go for this Lucian and back to back here, which it's tough, right? I mean, if you play the Cythria, you're basically saying, okay, I need to rush down my opponent like really fast. So this is me thinking that Mortimer's saying, okay, he doesn't think his opponent has They Who Endure and Atrocity yet, so he's okay with just trying to develop as big of a field as possible. I do agree with you. I think this might get punished because after Creepevee blocks, I think this They Who Endure is going to be big enough to come down for an Atrocity victory. I think. I'm not positive though.
I think it's at a 10-10 right now where I saw him just like hover over it for a second. So it's very close. This would definitely put it online right now, which is very important, right? But he will need to save the spell mana. He needs what 3 plus the 9, right? So he's still 2 turns off regardless to be able to do it both in one turn, or he can just slam the Atrocity down this turn, and make it happen. But again, this is why I would have preferred to see the Cythria. I think this is just a free out now for Creepevee to come back into this game. Now he wouldn't have been able to block with these 1/1s.
Yeah, I just kind of 100% agree with you now. You know, this was definitely a play to be considered, the Lucian and the back-to-back, but you kind of, going up against They Who Endure, especially with, like we were talking about earlier, like I mentioned, you know, it's just so ridiculous how often They Who Endure can just top deck from, like, out of their ass, essentially. And in that situation, going up against They Who Endure, you should just assume at all times that your opponent has Atrocity and They Who Endure in their hand, like, no matter what. And that's how you should play the game. And I think that if he was playing it like that, that Cythria would have came down so he could get maybe a 2-turn win here. And now it's going to be difficult once this They Who Endure comes down.
And there's just so much cycle in the deck, right? You have the triple Avarosan Sentry. You have the triple Glimpse Beyond. At that point, you really do, like you said, have to assume that those cards are there. Obviously, you know, you do get these trades, super nice trades in with your back-to-backs, so your Lucian doesn't die off. I actually would have preferred the Lucian to die. I'm not going to lie there. You get that double attack with the Senna and makes it so it gets that extra bit of level up. Oof. But honestly, it's just a little too late here. That's a 13-13 They Who Endure. This game is pretty much over.
Oh, wait. Oh, no, okay, never mind. That is a very interesting draw, but I was like, I don't typically see it in this deck. That's why I got a little bit excited. But yeah, I think this is just a game. And now that we think about it, right, I don't think it... Oh, wait. Hold on. So if he attacked with the Cythria, this would not be a 13-13, correct?
Yeah, so it would have been a 12-12.
Wow.
Because if he had played the Cythria last turn, he could have used the 4/4 to block one of the Fearsomes, and a 1/1 to block one of the Cythria, right?
Yep.
So it would have set him a turn back. Obviously, turn not too huge a deal, right? But it means that he would have had a weird turn to have to like attack with some of these 1/1s, do some weird development. He wouldn't have been able to Atrocity off this turn. But you know, looking at this Demacia list, there's just not really good answers here, right? And I'm right now, I'm flashing back to all the way to the Mulligan fate, right? If that Kato had been around this whole time, man, like I'm telling you, Creepevee sitting at 19 health. You know, it's hard for you to push through this lineup because the haunted relics, all of these, the blighted caretakers, the spiders that Elise spawns, all of these random units that just absorb so much damage. As soon as you put a trample on the board, it makes it so tough. So I say trample because of magic, but it's overwhelmed. My fault. Overwhelmed.
We all knew what you meant. Let's not lie. We've all played magic. We're good.
Yeah. But like, even there, right? Like that overwhelmed damn. Like, dude, you just
Yeah.
play atrocity off this game.
Yeah.
It looks like Creepevee is just kind of playing with this food a little bit at this point.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. And honestly, yeah, I got to agree with you with the Kato the Arm. I mean, I don't know if Kato the Arm would have actually, like, straight up won the game for him, but it's clear that there needed to be more aggression on the side of Mortimer for him to be able to win this game, and he just wasn't able to really get there. And, God, that Cytheria, I would have loved to see how this game panned out with that Cytheria coming down as opposed to the Lucian. So... we will never know, though. Unfortunately, we have Creepevee. I should say unfortunately, but unfortunately for Mortimer, we have Creepevee taking it away. We're going to give him a little bit of the victory fanfare, which, unfortunately, I was talking to you earlier, Hauntze, about the music, the sounds that I can play.
Oh,
yeah,
gotcha.
Unfortunately.
No worries, man. No worries.
For you can't hear that wonderful Final Fantasy VII victory fanfare just yet, but we'll get there. So let's...
that's definitely a nice touch overall.
Oh, yeah. I love it. So back to our beautiful faces, though. So, all right. So what did you think? Good matchup. Did you get a good feel of the They Who Endure Brood Awakenless deck?
Yeah, I kind of genuinely like it more. You have a lot more token generation that isn't just like one card you're dropping like maybe on turn 3, right? You don't have to save up that spell mana. You just let it play out, right? So it feels more control-y in a sense. But obviously we don't see cards like the Vengeance, like the Ruination that sometimes get teched in that deck overall. So I definitely see a little more play also in the deck overall because of that, right? He could cut like maybe like a Haunted Relic or something like that to make sure, you know, his opponent, like your opponent, like if they're playing like one of those Ash Noxious decks or something like that, they don't go off or like make sure they have a Ruination or something back.
Yeah, or oh geez, I can't think of it right now. The 6-cost card to kill all units less than 5 attack. Jesus, why can't I think of the name of the card? That plays Ash Noxus decks always play the card. Reckoning. Whew. I don't know. So you said it's been a couple weeks since you've been playing, but Reckoning has also seen a ton of play as of late, and that's another big card, just similar to Ruination that a lot of people are playing. Just kind of get through a lot of those smaller units. But yeah, I agree. I mean, this They Who Endure deck is so incredibly strong. I mean, I have been playing ladder as of late, and it's so ridiculous. It's like 3 out of 4 games They Who Endure deck. So it's very, very well represented. All right, and that will about wrap it up. So as always, you can find all the links to all of your guys' desires in the description below. If you want to check out the Discord for Maverick Tournament League to join a future tournament, go for it. So until next time, everybody stay healthy, stay positive. I hope shit just works for you, and peace out.